Welcome back to Confessions of a Recruiter. We are joined by the one and only Impact Talent. We're with Nathan and Jett.
One of my colleagues at the real estate agent was like, you'd be really good in recruitment. I'd never heard of recruitment before. Called up Nathan and he didn't answer.
Typical recruiter.
Last time I was on this potty, actually, I got the itch and I was like, ooh, what should I do next? Maybe I'll launch a business. Don't want to do it by myself. Feel like I just need someone to do this with and be on the journey with and maybe hold myself accountable a little bit as well. Tapped Jett on the shoulder. Thankfully, he said, yep, let's do it.
You made a comment before. You said, I feel like we don't do anything too special, but we just do it really well.
Our strategy was put ourselves everywhere so that as many people know our names, our brand through personal branding on LinkedIn. What that's done over time is, I guess, generated people and inbound leads.
What are you actually posting?
You know, you might be able to reach, 10, 20, 30, 50,000 people with just one post. I think it would take me years to call 50,000 people.
Okay, yeah, 100%. Now, before we leave, we've got a game.
I can't wait.
Thanks for coming on, boys.
It's good to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, we actually did a LinkedIn Live only a couple of weeks ago, depending on when someone hears this, just about your journey on starting Impact Talent, that type of thing. But for those who weren't dialed into that LinkedIn Live, why don't you guys give us a little bit of background on who you are, your business, and what you focus on?
So I joined the recruitment industry 5 years ago. Prior to that came from a sales background. Prior to that came from a hospitality background. And moved overseas for like 7 years, came back, had the travel bug, did the travel thing, went into travel sales, sold some holidays. COVID happened. That went to shit. Can I say that on here? Yeah.
Of course. It's not confessions without a few swear words.
Confessions for a reason.
So yeah, that went awful. Left that, got into gym sales for like 6 months.
Okay.
Worst job of my life.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like you look like a pretty good gym sales guy.
I mean, I
He's
love
a
the
perfect
gym, but I
salesman.
don't like selling to gym people. Just awful, just like transactional. Get them across the line, don't speak to them again. So it's, not fun. So then got into recruitment 5 years ago, started recruiting for the general insurance industry. And over that time, became a director of a team, had a team of 12 at one point. Jett was one of those people at one point. So we worked together for a couple of years. And it was last time I was on this potty, actually, that I got the itch and I was like, ooh, what should I do next? Maybe I'll launch a business. Don't want to do it by myself. Feel like I just need someone to do this with and be on the journey with and maybe hold myself accountable a little bit as well. Tapped Jett on the shoulder. Thankfully, he said, yep, let's do it. And we've been, launched Impact Talent 12 months ago. Just had our first birthday, had a cracker of a first year that we're really proud of. And here we are in the potty seat.
Hey, that was such a good chronology of
Nailed it.
where you're at and where you are today. Jett, what about you? Where were you before recruitment?
Well, my career's not as extensive. I'm going back all the years. Started Macca's, which was great. You get really good foundations in fast food, I would say. And then hospitality. And then I got into real estate because I was like, I think I'm good at talking to people. I like the sort of salesy kind of role when I was in school. So studied that, got into real estate. Wasn't for me. Just wasn't a very good industry.
Like sales, like selling property or?
Yeah, I just feel like the whole process was very, like both parties weren't really happy with the real estate agent because you've got the sellers and they're just trying to get all the money that they can. And you've got all the buyers who are like, they're just trying to get all my price up. And everyone throughout the whole transaction of real estate is just not happy with the real estate agent. So I was like, I just don't know, that's me. A little bit toxic kind of, industry. So I was like, having thoughts of going into something else. And then one of my colleagues at the real estate agent was like, you'd be really good in recruitment. And I'd never heard of recruitment before. And called up Nathan on a Friday. They didn't work Fridays at the time, but called up Nathan and he didn't answer.
Typical recruiter.
because he didn't answer on the Friday. And then I think I heard back from him on Monday, came in for the interview, and then he was like, you're going to do it with me. And I'm like, if I'm working with the director of the branch, I think I'd be doing pretty good. So I was pretty sold. And then did insurance with Nathan and then, had a long lunch. And then Nathan was like, you want to come out and do this by yourself. And even when I was a kid, I was like, I always want to work for myself. At the end of my career, I always want to be like doing my own thing. And so when Nathan said that, I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is like, the opportunity to go out and do it for yourself, has come up. So why not do it? And then, launched Impact Talent. January 2025, and 12 months.
And had a cracking first 12 months. Was it what you expected, more, less?
I think the biggest thing is at the beginning, you launch a business and you think something's going to change. Like you just feel like maybe there'll be some aura around you and you're like, I'm a business owner now, like something's going to change, but actually nothing changes at all. And you're like, shit, it's just me now. It's all on me. I've got to regenerate everything. And I don't know. I think we achieved what we wanted to achieve in our first year. So we're really proud of that. Was it a slog? 110% it was a slog. But yeah, I think it's turned out to what we were hoping it would. So.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was having a chat to Lexi Vendito and I was like, how is it, being an official business owner? She goes, it's just more fucking admin. I'm not any more special than I ever was. I just got more shit to deal with. It sucks.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that sounds about right. Like when you put business owners on a pedestal, you're like, you've got some sort of secret sauce that I don't. And then you realize, oh mate, you're just doing a lot of admin after hours to try and catch up on shit. No, that's awesome. It's super impressive impact talent. So talk to us about what impact talent recruit. I know you mentioned you came from insurance. Is impact talent recruiting in insurance? And what is that? Like what positions are we talking? Like, can you give us some context on this?
Yeah, so we recruit for 4 things mainly, which is insurance brokers, claims managers, underwriters, and loss adjusters. So those are the 4 things. So your insurance brokers is the one that's, negotiating between someone who's wanting to get something insured and the insurers and finding the best deal. Kind of like a mortgage broker. Claims managers are the ones who are, handling the claims.
They're the ones rejecting you.
You got to be a certain kind of person to do claims. Like you got to have thick skin because you're usually dealing with people in conversations where, it's usually very difficult times. Like a lot of that stuff comes home with you. So a claims manager is very different to an insurance broker. Underwriters are very technical and analytical. They're a bit more involved with obviously writing the policies. So they're more technically minded, but they're all still kind of in a sales industry, I guess, underwriters and brokers. And then loss adjusters are just claims people that are out on the road and actually going to the high value claims and all of that. So that's what we recruit for. That's our bread and butter. And
interesting. You've actually defined it really well. So sometimes when I ask that question, I get varied responses from recruitment agency owners. Is like, I'll just pick up a job and I'll get a referral and I'll do a bit of that. So was there any deliberate focus around these 4 positions? Like what's the reason why you're only choosing those 4 positions? Or
it's not really a focus. It's just mainly how the industry is divided up. So you've got these 4, we'll call them pillars of different roles within the industry, but then you've got different levels that kind of fit within each pillar. So like your brokers could be an assistant, they could be a broker, they could be a senior, they could be a team leader, an account director. So there's different levels within there, and it's kind of just the main roles that we recruit for. It's probably the easiest way to describe it.
Okay, gotcha. No, that makes a lot of sense. Now, this season is all about candidate attraction. And you made a comment before that we started airing, and you said, I feel like we don't do anything too special, but we just do it really well. So I want to start there. So firstly, what is candidate attraction to you? Is do you have a deliberate focus to attract or get in front of candidates? And maybe to give context, sales recruiter, I don't really care that much about candidates. I'm trying to find clients. And as soon as I've got a client, then I'll just smash as many candidates as I can and try and get the fee. Whereas some other industries are reverse. It's like, no, make sure you know all the candidates and, float them in, that type of thing. But, as a transactional sales recruiter, candidate attraction or thinking about how to engage good candidates was never really a thing. So what's that like for you guys? Nathan, I'll give that to you first.
I think when you think of candidates, clients as well, but candidates, so you've got the 2 sides. So you've got your chase mentality, you've got your attract mentality. So chasing them is where you're constantly following them up, probably annoying them to some degree, and just consistently trying to, get them to work with you. But I feel like if you continue to do that forever, you are just going to annoy people over a set amount of time. So you need to have some sort of, tool that helps or generates people coming towards you. And so candidate attraction for us is, what are we doing which makes people want to work with us, or subconsciously when they are looking for a new role, they think Nathan and Jett, or they think impact talent. And so when we launched, we were very deliberate because we we were in a period of where no one knew who we were outside of Queensland, and looking at a new market. So our strategy was put ourselves everywhere so that as many people know our names, our brand, through personal branding on LinkedIn. And then what that's done over time is, I guess, generated people and inbound leads. So what is it that we specifically do? I guess we're very deliberate on, it's the $1 million question. So I think we're just very deliberate with our LinkedIn presence, putting ourselves out there. And there's so many forms of content that you can do that in. And I think over an extended period of time, by doing the same thing repeatedly, when people are ready, you are hopefully the first person that they think of. Does that make sense?
I'd say that's definitely like the goal. Like you, at the end of the day, if you like dumb down or like really bring it to a point on what we're trying to do, when either that's a candidate or a client thinking about recruitment, our goal is to be the first person that they think about when that happens. So that really presence on LinkedIn, being really out there, and
Okay, so let's dive into that, because you make a really good point, and you said before that it's like a little bit it's different where you call someone and you say, oh, it's Jett from Impact Talent, and they're like, oh, I know who you are. So for someone that's listening and they're going, I love the sound of that. Like, I want to be the first person that my niche thinks of when they think of recruitment. Jett, like, what are you actually posting? Is there like some sort of like secret sauce around, a process, a structure, a topic? Like, what is it that you post specifically?
I think it's just adding value. It's you can post about, what I do, the jobs I'm recruiting for, the reviews I'm getting, whatever, but you can really tell the difference, the value adding, and the impressions you can get, and the people, that will see your content when you're just adding value, and it has nothing to do with what you do as a recruiter. So a lot of our content is very focused on the insurance industry. It could be about like recruitment tips or whatnot, but there's nothing usually at the end of, our posts or whatever we're putting out there saying, if you're looking for a new job, call me on this number or whatever. Like, we will still post our roles, if we get a review and stuff like that as well, and stuff about our business. But it's mainly just, adding value, because you're really building like a parasocial relationship with these people, because they're seeing your content every morning, because we're posting in the morning, and, before work, they'll see what we're posting. And then, over time, they'll just naturally be thinking of our names. And then when the time comes and, we actually end up calling them, most of the time, like a lot of the time now, it's very much, oh, I see your stuff all the time on LinkedIn and all your content. It's something that's quite new for us, because that didn't used to be the case. But like 70% of the calls we make these days to maybe new people that we haven't engaged with already know our name, which it's just a weird feeling. And, you might be able to reach, 10, 20, 30, 50,000 people with just one post. I think it would take me years to call 50,000 people. Okay,
yeah, 100%. I don't know, mate. You're pretty good. Don't sell yourself short. So I'm just putting myself into a recruiter's shoes right now, and what I'm hearing is post valuable content, follow it up with the outbound activity, so it doesn't replace it, but it almost is accompanied with the outbound activity. When you say adding value, what is that? Like, how are you adding value? Especially if I'm a recruiter and I'm sitting here and I'm like, I've got no value to add. I've got a bit of creative, writer's block. How do you find value to share? Like, is that a process? Is that what is that?
I think the hardest part for us, because neither of us have industry knowledge from working in insurance before. That was the hardest part. So we had to think of a way of how do we, I guess, get what we're hearing from clients and candidates into our content so that then it resonates with people. And so one of the things we did last year was we thought, how can we reach mass people with any one post? And so we started an Inspiring Insurance podcast. And what we started doing was interviewing candidates and clients, or people that we knew within the industry, or people who were well kind of known on social media, and getting them in front of the camera. You interview them, they share their top tips and tricks. Therefore, it's us still in front of the camera. They're giving the free value, but then you go and post the content. Everyone who knows them sees the content. They then share the content, and next thing you've got 40 to 50,000 people who've seen the content. And so when we call someone and someone goes, oh, I know who you are, it kind of makes sense now. that was one of the things for creating free value and just replicating the conversations that you're having on a day-to-day with your clients and candidates. Like if you hear something about a pain point or a problem, you know that's an instant post that you can recreate to speak to your target audience of insurance broking clients. Or if you hear something from a candidate and they say, I've learnt this in the industry recently, repurpose that. And that's going to speak to your target audience of candidates. So it's just, yeah.
It's an awesome framing because I think a lot of recruiters have a lot of conversations every day with clients and candidates. They do get a lot of market insights, but they don't attach that to value. And so like I know what you guys share from a value piece, but it's interesting asking your perspective of what you share too, and for people to go through that discovery in this podcast, because when I see you guys post like, I spoke to a claims manager today and he said this, this, and this, and he was like really shitty about this, this, and this. It doesn't have to be value as in like, this is worth $50 and I'm going to give you a free tool or resource. Like sometimes, people think value, it's like, what are you building or creating for someone to lean in with value? And it could simply be like the conversations that you're having that help other people have these like micro learnings, and they go, fuck yeah, I experienced that in my role too, actually. And then that's really the value piece, is sharing that context and perspective of these conversations. So I think you guys do a really good job of it, and I've always wanted to do more of it myself. I'm just going to be a bit selfish here and talk about me. Sometimes what I fail with and what I admire about you two boys is you've got this really good connection between knowing you need to do it and then doing it. It's like really impressive, because like I sit there and I have these conversations. I'm like, that's a great post, I need to talk about that. But then there's a fall over in the execution. So do you have any strategies or ways that you've tried to reconfigure your brain to go, that's a post, write that down, come back to that later, this is the day that I write my post? Like, is there any process that helps just move the needle in posting about your conversations?
I think the most important thing is when you hear something, like your brain just triggers it and you're like, that would be really, really good. People will gravitate to that sort of information. So you've got to write it down at the time so that you remember to regenerate something around it. But the hardest part of it is literally finding the time, because if you've got to craft something, so the best thing to do is like on a Friday afternoon, reschedule everything for the following week. So you just take an hour, you write all your content, you schedule it for the next week. Like that's probably the biggest tip I can give anyone. Otherwise, it's so hard.
You know what? It doesn't need to be like some crazy unique thing that no one can do, but it's literally just the little simple things that sometimes fall away. You're about to say something?
I was going to say, we have a pretty unique position in the industry. Like as recruiters, we're kind of like in the industry, but we're kind of on the outside. So we hear all these tidbits that I feel like a lot of people in the industry are very, not in their like little bubble, but there's just so many things that we know that we would assume they would know, but they're all, in their own little bubble, whatever part of the industry that they're in. So when we're speaking with candidates and knowing what they're looking for and speaking with clients and what they want, these conversations aren't being had most of the time with them. So we get all this information that, is kind of hard for people in the industry to get. So I think the content that we are able to put out is a bit more unique in perspective. So we'll be meeting with a client or a candidate and they'll say something and we're like, we've got to post about that. So that's why it's pretty targeted stuff towards the insurance industry, because we get these perspectives that these conversations don't normally come up between, candidates and clients as well. We get a lot of information that they don't typically.
It's the one thing that I don't think recruiters do well enough is share the stories of the clients and candidate conversations that they have, and you guys have really nailed that. What about like a topic to talk about that attracts candidates? Have you seen any themes or patterns that every time I share something to do with this topic, this scenario, this circumstance, we start to get a lot of engagement and activity? Is there anything in particular that stands out?
You know what, the one thing that probably stands out at the moment is when you really, really switch things up. So you can be like insurance for 2 weeks. And then the one day you do a personal post, it blows up because people resonate with the personal post. And then next minute you've got, you shouldn't focus on vanity metrics because likes are dislikes, but that's not how you really measure it. You need to focus on the impressions. But the moment you do that, the likes go up, therefore the impressions go up. And I've really noticed that throwing one of those in every now and then, it just keeps you human, and people love that shit.
Yeah, you've always got to be mixing it up. You can't be posting the same stuff. You'll just see like the impressions or the engagements from people. It just start to decline. So you've got to throw in obviously like a personal post, you know, maybe stuff about the business that's not related to like jobs or whatever. So you do have to mix it up. It's definitely a part of the job they don't sort of advertise about recruitment. That is a massive thing. That sort of marketing part that, you know, most people coming into recruitment don't come from a marketing background, but I think it's something that we have really focused on over the last 12 months.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Like, it doesn't all have to be strictly business. So I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but when you view someone's profile, generally their posts start coming up in your feed more just because you've viewed their profile. So if you get a profile viewer and then all of a sudden they see all your other stuff, so however you got them there is irrelevant, but now they're actually seeing the stuff that you want them to see. And rightly or wrongly, I had a pretty not a straight way of growing my followers, early days ex-recruiter. What my general idea was value, sharing stories, and then I'd put some polarizing, crazy ass
the chicken wings, the half-eaten chicken wings. I still remember that.
You just post something that would rage bait people, basically. And you would, post a plate of like half-eaten chicken wings and be like, I've just demolished these wings. I'm feeling good on Seek Talent. So people like, you didn't demolish those wings, and they'd be so offended.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like there's being business, a little bit crazy, a little bit funny. It really started to like build an audience where people would like follow along for the journey. So I really resonated with that.
Something else that has worked really, really well is polls. So I think what some people do is they put up a poll and it'd be like, what's most important to you this year? Is it salary or career progression or better manager, whatever that looks like? And I think most people will put that post up and all they'll get is people voting on it, and then you've got your voting stats and they reshare that. But what we do, which I think is really smart, is you take that one step further. Everyone that votes on your poll, you then send them a message saying, thank you for voting on my poll. You said that salary is important to you this year. Let's have a conversation. And then the next minute you've got them on the phone and you're converting them into a lead. Like those polls are very, very, very powerful. And I think most people miss that you can actually generate that off them.
Dude, the biggest lead generation from those polls. Hey, are you going to clip that up, Sergi? That is a strong, that's a strong little story there. 100%. The polls are interesting because people don't often relate to polls as revealing something that they actually are revealing. So I love the polls. That was actually going to be my next question around.
Sorry.
Jumped the gun. What other ways do you attract candidates? And one of it was around obviously LinkedIn posts, polls. Is there any other channels that you use or any strategies that you take to be able to try and find or attract candidates?
We've just become a sponsor of a gold sponsor of Women in Insurance Queensland. There's nothing kind of put out there about that yet, but that's just, it's a great cause. It's a not-for-profit, so we'll be sponsoring them for the 2026 year. But at all of their industry events that they run, our branding is now going to be on everything. We get invited to all those events now as well. So it means that we'll be at those events. People will see us. It means that we can speak with people who are at these events. So that's something that we're going to trial this year. 100%. We haven't done it yet, but yeah.
That's one thing that's missing a lot is the face-to-face interactions with meeting new people in an industry. Is that a strategy that you just thought of last year? Like, what was the driver behind thinking, all right, let's go sponsor an event, turn up, get our brand everywhere, have these conversations? What was the thought process behind doing something like that?
I know you mentioned, you were quite a transactional recruiter. The good thing with insurance is it's very much a relationship-driven industry. So it's very much like the people in insurance, the relationship you'll build with your candidates and your clients. If you're meeting with them, you can just see the difference if you're, just on the phone with them. But if you take the time to meet with them, go to the events, go to all the networking stuff and the conferences, it just builds a really strong relationship because they have to go out there, go be in the market, meet with all the different agencies and insurers and all of that. So they really appreciate when we do the same thing. So it's a very, very relationship.
Is it like a small market insurance?
No, it's a massive market.
Is it?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a really interesting niche.
It's an interesting niche. I think, I don't know if I should give our secret sauce away on the podcast, but there's not a lot of recruiters if you compare it to like accounting and finance as a niche, like there's not as many people doing insurance. So I think that's beneficial.
To be honest, I reckon I know not even a handful of insurance recruiters. I know one from Fuse. He's a good bloke. I think you guys have
we know
I've
him.
met with him before. You guys, and that's pretty much it, hey?
There's going to be some more popping up.
Yeah, all of a sudden there's all these people coming into insurance.
Untapped market, honestly.
Yeah, especially from accounting and finance, mate. There's thousands of those recruiters. It's probably a good little niche to get into. What about outreach? How is outreach for you guys? What is like the personalization? I know everyone with AI and technology, it's like everyone's trying to personalize outreach. Is there anything in particular that you guys are doing differently? Like, how do you actually approach a candidate you've never spoken to before?
The first thing is don't make it sound like AI. That instantly loses your credibility because you can read straight through that. But I think because we're quite well known, just because of the personal branding side of things, when we call someone now and they already know who we are, that instantly takes away that cold call element to it. If they don't know who we are, it's a personalized intro. And just building a little bit of rapport with them to start off with, I guess. There's nothing.
Do you go in for the kill straight away, or are you?
No, I would say like we don't really try to sell on our first approach. It's like I think we're just more so trying to say to them, it'd be great to have a conversation, see where you sort of sit in the market. We're not going to try and obviously sell you anything. It's just like have a chat, see where you stand. If you've got any questions, we'll probably know and give you a bit of guidance on that. So it's more so, again, adding value to them. But we're typically not going in for like the kill shot of I've got XYZ role. Obviously we will approach people about roles, but most of the time it's let's have a conversation now, because if I have the perfect role that's going to be a great fit for you in 12 months, 24 months, I want to know exactly what that is so I can come to you and tell you this is your dream role. This is why, because we've had that conversation specifically. So not always going in for the kill shot. It's more just having just a chat, a casual chat. I think that's
understanding of where they're at and what they would be open to, and then moving them through the sales cycle that way.
Yeah, gotcha. So your industry specifically, is it driven by clients or driven by candidates primarily?
Bit of both, I think.
It is a bit of both.
It's one of those weird like 50-50, and it kind of comes in ebbs and flows. Sometimes you'll be really job heavy, there's no candidates. Sometimes you'll have all these candidates and no jobs. It's a bit of a balancing task.
How do you balance that?
Chaos. It is chaos.
Organised chaos.
Organised chaos.
Let's start talking about our structured days.
Don't go into that.
We're not going to go down that route today.
Oh, really? That was literally my next question.
No.
Tell me about how structured your days are. Do you have any like SLAs or like internal requirements around like getting back to every candidate, getting back to them in a time frame, getting back to them with a certain amount of feedback or something? Like what's your approach to like candidate care when it comes to, a bunch of people apply, a bunch of people reach out, are you getting back to them? Like what does that look like?
We always say to candidates when we're interviewing a candidate, we will always, that one of the biggest complaints that recruiters get is around they never heard back from a recruiter. So we always set expectation with the candidate. What did you say?
Oh, same thing.
Yeah, I was pointing at him because he called you on a Friday, and I don't know. He obviously called you
I guess
back.
he didn't call back.
Got back to him. But one of the biggest complaints that candidates have is never heard back from my recruiter. So saying to them when we interview them, this is what you can expect from working with me. If you ever call me, I promise I will always call you back. And something that Matt has drilled into us over the last year, and it's just so important. And so setting expectations with them up front around what the timeline on
Do they
things
appreciate
look like.
that?
They love it.
Do they? Getting a call back?
Yeah.
What if you got nothing to tell them?
Then they love it even more. No news is better than no news at all.
I think saying to them, like, if you haven't heard from me, it's only because I haven't got XYZ information from them. Like we're just very clear, like if we're going to do something, I think that's the biggest thing to be a good recruiter is just if you say you're going to do something, just do it. I think that's it's super simple, but you can see the difference in the relationship you build over going through the process with candidates or clients. If you say you're going to call them back at this time, or this is when I'm going to speak with a person, and then you don't call them back a day later, like we hear that all the time about, I've never heard back from them, so I'm never going to work with them, or that recruiters.
Do you find that often where you'll try and approach a candidate about a role and they've just been absolutely taken through the ringer with another recruiter and they're like, I'm totally off it, I don't even want to consider it, and you got to try and like massage them, get them back in?
Absolutely.
How often does that happen?
It probably happens more often than anyone would like it to.
What do you do to build like the trust with the candidates after that? Is it just like a trust me bro thing, like this won't happen again, or do you just kind of like ease off a little bit?
It's more of firstly, it's a validation. Appreciate that's the experience you've had. I'm really sorry to hear that. Let me walk you through what our process looks like and how we can provide support from a different angle for you. And just being really transparent with them around what the process looks like.
Wow, that sounded scripted. You have said that a lot of times.
I've said that before.
Well, okay, yeah. I think that, like, I'm just putting myself in the shoes of a candidate. If you said that to me, I'd be like, oh, this guy seems all right.
Give me a crack.
Yeah, cool. And so, like, what about timeline of interview processes, getting interviews locked in, that type of thing? How much of the speed to candidates submitted, interviewed, offered, how much do you influence either clients or candidates to make sure that that timeline meets the needs of everybody? Do you influence that?
You have to.
Yeah? What's that like for you guys? Is there a bit of pushback from, when I think of insurance, I think of big companies. And big companies, as we all know, are slow. They'll say that a role's been pulled 1 minute, then there's internal changes the next, and there's, I've got to go check with this guy the next. How do you influence these big companies to like get a wriggle on, basically?
The first thing is that we don't really work with the really big companies. That's step one. So our bread and butter is more the small boutique size firms. But it's just setting really clear expectations from the get-go. So I'm going to submit you to these companies. Firstly, you get their authority to represent them to those companies. And then you say, I anticipate to have an outcome from the client within this many hours based on what the client's told you that's going to be from your initial job brief. And if you don't have that outcome, it's just giving them another call and letting them know where things are at. They're still making a decision. This is when they're anticipating setting up interviews. This is what you can expect in terms of a next step. So it's just really, really clear communication the whole way through, even if you're not getting what you want.
Yeah. Does that come naturally to you, or is that kind of forced through the process?
I think it's pretty natural.
Yeah.
It's just being upfront with people. I think most people will appreciate if you're really, really honest with them. And if it's taken a month and you haven't heard back from someone at the end of the day, you've got to cover your own ass and say, sorry, this isn't on me now. Let's withdraw you from that process anyway. Don't think it's going anywhere. But
I think the biggest thing is just trying not to waste either party's time, in the sense of, if we've got multiple people interviewing, letting the candidates know where they sort of rank in the process, especially with the clients as well. Like if we have multiple candidates interviewing, or, candidates from an ad or other recruiters, where ours would sort of rank from the interview process. So if it gets to a first interview and the client comes back and says, they're number 2 or number 3 or number 4, well, we might as well just say to them, well, should we just withdraw them from the process if, they're not even in the front running for this role? And the same thing goes for candidates, in the sense of, if they're interviewing for 4 or 5 roles, where does my role rank against the other roles you're interviewing for? If it's not 1 or 2, we're usually like, well, do you think it's best we withdraw you? And usually they'll say yes. And that's not an ideal outcome for both right then, but it might be the best outcome, because we don't want to lose them at the end of the process when they've just taken something else. So we'll pull candidates and clients out of the process if we're not confident it's going in a positive way. So we just don't want to be wasting anyone's time.
That's interesting, because naturally, as any salesperson or recruiter would be, is they just want as many dogs in the fight as they can. Yep. And it sounds like by taking that approach, it's probably doing more damage and harm than it's doing good. Like maybe for the short term, you might feel good that you've got 4 candidates in the mix, but realistically, you've got 1 or 2. So how do you manage like a mismatch between a client and a candidate and their like interest in each other? Like, so if a candidate's going forward for the role and they think they're amazing, and clients saying no and that type of thing, from a candidate experience standpoint, are you like upfront with like, hey, you've really bombed this for these reasons? Or is it a little bit more of a politically correct approach, or what's that like for you guys?
Every candidate, if they are unsuccessful or if it's a wrong match, then the client is not going to bring them on board. They deserve, it's their right to understand why they were unsuccessful. So if the client says they rocked up in a T-shirt, they're not professional enough, we're going to tell them, hey, you rocked up in a T-shirt. Hopefully we've prepped them, well enough so that doesn't happen.
I don't know what you're doing, but I'm definitely prepping them.
Example.
Button up.
Yeah, just being really, really upfront with I guess, the honest feedback so that they can improve for next time. And then if they're still someone that you want to represent, just saying, hey, understand this wasn't the wasn't the right role for you, but we're still really, really happy to support you, and let's see what else we can help you with.
Has that ever backfired?
Don't think so.
Yeah, it's backfired for me once. And, yeah, so I had the Human Rights Association call and like want to interview me and stuff. I didn't do this myself specifically. This is someone that I employed at the time. I just started Bendito, and the role was selling security systems to schools, and it was a sales role in Northern Queensland. This guy went forward for the role. Like, he was awesome. But then you Google him and he has allegations of like being with minors, basically, like a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old. Basically, he was in the media, and then like a 16 or 17-year-old girl on set said that he was like making advances on him and he's done all this stuff and all this craziness. And so clearly, like, you Google him and that's, you know, a bit of a red flag. Anyway, the consultant I had at the time calls him and goes, "Mate, you know, it's just a school, you know, you've got an issue with kids and underage people." And this guy blew up. And this is at the time where there was like the recruiter that was working for me didn't understand the difference between like charged and convicted. And so this guy was charged with all of these things. And then it turns out that the mum overheard her talking to her friend saying it was all fake and he never actually did anything. The mum's then told the police have dropped all charges, but all the news articles are still out there and it's like, it's killing him. And so he called up the Human Rights Association, said that they've, you know, rejected me for a role from a past offence that never happened, blah, blah, blah. We had to do this formal apology, etc. So that was, and I know this is a bit of like a crazy story, and hopefully this never happens.
Hopefully this is an outlier.
yeah, this is definitely an outlier. But, you know, if there's any like, you know, issues around, you know, children and stuff like that, maybe just stay away from that.
Yeah, usually it's like they've underdressed. Or, you know, they didn't know how to answer our question
Or something.
Yeah, this guy's getting charged for like, you know, interactions with minors or something. Yeah, it was a crazy time. So ever since that, I mean, hopefully most recruiters have the intuition not to like open up a, you know,
can of worms.
Can of worms around that. But what about offers? So we've talked about attracting candidates, posting, building a reputation, you calling them, they kind of know who you are, adding value, this type of thing, setting their expectations to the interview process. But when it comes to like offers, what are the strategies that you guys put forward? And I know there's definitely some. Before giving someone an offer, then managing the offer, and then really just making sure that it's 100% accepted and it's not like wishy-washy. I'm going to start with Jett.
I think what I touched on before around like withdrawing them, you know, if there's any unease throughout the process, or if, you know, we're sort of feeling like it's not going in a positive direction, we're going to be constantly asking them, you know, should we withdraw you from the process? Where does it rank? Stuff like that. So hopefully by the time we usually get to the office.
Is that a bluff? Are you saying that to just like bluff it out? And then if they go, no, keep me in, you're like,
I mean,
We need to know. We need to know.
Okay. Yeah.
And, you know, it always stings a little bit when they say, yeah, just withdraw me. Because obviously we've gone through a process, but I'd say 99% of the time it's for the right reason why we're withdrawing them. So usually, like at this point, and we've definitely changed our strategy. We've worked quite closely with Matt around this and the offer process. We typically will not lose a candidate in the offer stage because we've gone through all these motions of finding exactly how they feel about everything, withdrawing them if they're not the right candidate. And then when we get to the offer stage, usually it's mostly aligned. There might be something, and, you know, we're always going through the pre-close process, both with the candidate and the client, to make sure it's all aligned, because, you know, there's always going to be things, whether it's like a lowball offer or, you know, they're going to match the hybrid working or...
So like, what is that? Like, how do you make sure that something's rock solid? Is it just small little parts of the process that you implement that by the end it should be pretty watertight? Or is there, I don't know, a pre-qualifying question that generally flushes out any issues that haven't been resolved? Like, what do you say to them specifically that gives you the confidence to know, oh, this guy's rock solid?
Yeah, so we'll talk like hypotheticals. Like if I was to get you this offer, this role with the start date of this, with whatever benefits that they want, maybe car allowance or car, whatever. If I can get you that would you be happy for me to accept this role on your behalf, is the main question that we'll ask once we get to the offer stage, or if we know, we're getting close and it's all progressing quite well. Having those conversations with the client after references and whatnot, we'll talk the hypotheticals of, if I get you that, would you be happy for me to accept the role on your behalf?
That's an interesting framing, because like most recruiters would say, if I do this, will you accept? And you're saying, can I accept on your behalf?
We used to do that. We used to be those recruiters.
And then we lost a few deals, so we reworked it. Yeah.
Okay, why? What changed? Like, that's an interesting approach. It's a bit different. Seems pretty reasonable. Like from a psychological standpoint, how did you think of reframing it to, I'll just accept on your behalf?
No, Matt Cossins, 100%. So what we started to understand was the whole yes or no answer. You can't control that part of the closing process. So you need to maintain control the whole way through the close. So what do? Client tells you this is what it's going to look like. So to the candidate, it's giving them a call and saying, this is what I think it's going to look like. It could be 100K plus super starting on this date in this role. If all of those things align and I get that offer for you, can I accept it on your behalf? That way you're controlling the process. And if they say to you, no, the salary's off or the title's off or both, which I had at one instance, which is a nightmare.
Salary and title.
Yeah, that was a good one. And then,
are we going for the same role here?
and then going back and just workshopping what that would look like. So if you have to go back to the client, you can try and change the salary if you need to, or the title, or both. And then it's going back to the candidate and just workshopping with them what you've done and trying to get the outcome. At the end of the day, the client's going to pay you for the outcome. So you need to make sure that you can deliver on that when it gets to that stage.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's almost like it completely stops someone from going, I'll have a think about it, cheers. And then you're losing all leverage and power if you're saying, I'll accept on your behalf. What if, with a click of a finger, you could start your own recruitment agency? Well, now you can. With XRecruiter, launching your own agency has never been easier. In less than 3 weeks, you could be taking home 85% more of your billings with everything handled for you. You recruit, we take care of the rest. Click the link in the description to see if you are ready to take that next step. How do you balance doing the right thing by your client, getting someone over the line and influencing the process, but then also trying to balance the candidate's desires, wants and needs? Because there's obviously, client wants to pay as little as possible, candidate wants to get paid as much as possible, and there's probably somewhere in between that everyone's kind of happy with. How do you kind of balance the difference between what the candidate wants and what the client wants? Is it just a straight up trying to meet in the middle negotiation, or is there any strategies that you've got that kind of help anchor people either higher or lower?
I think it's having that conversation initially at that stage. So if I'm catching up with the client in 15 minutes to see what the outcome of this is, if I get you this 100K with this start date, with this title, can I accept on your behalf? It's the yeah buts. And so you're like, okay, talk me through on what basis would you move forward now? Mm-hmm. And if they say, I was looking for 110, okay, great. Appreciate that you're looking for 110. Let me go back to the client and see if there's any wiggle room with the salary. And then it's going back and having that conversation. And based on what they said, you can then go back to the candidate and you have the same conversation again. I've caught up with the client. This is what I'm anticipating it will be. If they've gone up to 105, it's looking like it might be a 105 plus, et cetera, et cetera. Can I accept on your behalf? And it's just continuing going back and forth until you get to whatever that final number is on both sides.
And then when we're at the pointing process, if they say, no, I don't want 105, and then you pretty much say to them, look, if that's all I can get, if I can only get an offer that's 105, do you want me to withdraw you from the process?
You take it off them. Yeah.
That is the secret, honestly.
Yeah.
And usually we're hoping them to not say no, but there will be ones that'll say no. So you talk the hypotheticals, even after you've had those conversations with the client, and then if you tell them, I'm feeling like they're going to be firm on this number, if it is just that number, would you be happy for me to accept on your behalf, or would you want me to withdraw you from the process?
I think there's a lot of magic in what you guys are saying, right? And you might not realize, yeah. So most people have two different ways of making decisions. One's through like positivity and one's through negativity. And so by reframing both, can I accept on your behalf, or can I withdraw you from the process if it's not this? You kind of hit both personality traits of like how people make decisions. So if you were to say to someone, oh, mate, it's 100K. I think it's going to be 100K plus super plus car. Would you accept? Can I accept on your behalf? And they're like, I don't know. But okay, well, if it's 99K, if you're not going to accept 100, you're a maybe. So if it was 100K, I'll just reject it for you. And they go, well, no, don't reject it. Like, oh, okay, so there is some merit in this 100K that you are considering. Oh, maybe, can I get a little bit more? Can I get 110? This type of thing. I think that's actually super powerful, is going through the positives and the negatives of the decision-making process, because it's not too crafty in a manipulation sense, but it really helps get to how people frame things in their own mind. And if you say positive or negative and you give them both options, I think usually you'll get probably a pretty clear answer. Have you found that?
Yeah. Definitely. It changed the way we did business last year. Yep. So changed everything. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. All right. Now we're going to move on into the one thing. If recruiters could take away only one key lesson in this episode, what should it be? And I'm going to ask the question to both of you, because you both might have different answers. So
I'll go first.
He always does this.
Sorry, mate. He's quick on the buzzer.
Have a personal brand that speaks to a targeted audience. If you are recruiting for the insurance industry, make sure your audience is insurance people, and get rid of all the recruiters that you have connections with on LinkedIn, because that's messing with your algorithm.
What do you mean?
So if you've got lots and lots of recruiters as your connections on LinkedIn, the more you put out content and more recruiters view your post, the more recruiters are going to see your post. But if that's not your target audience, then your insurance people are missing out on seeing your content. So it's all about having a targeted audience.
Love that. Okay, I like that. That's a good one. All right, Jett. Hopefully Nathan hasn't stolen that.
No, mine's kind of a compound to that answer, in the sense of, even if you don't see the immediate effects from it straight away, if you're not getting 100 likes and you only get a couple, it is having an effect. It's compounding, and then you'll start to notice it. And we're at the point now where all that compounding is really adding up, and we're getting lots of inbound inquiries from both candidates and clients. So it's definitely a compounding effect.
It's like going to the gym.
Yeah, it's the same thing. And most people, in our industry don't feel, most industries, they wouldn't feel comfortable liking a recruiter stuff. Usually on the candidate side, they wouldn't feel as comfortable, because if their employer sees that they're liking all this stuff, it's not a good look. So, you may only get a couple likes or less than 10 likes, but the amount of people that are actually seeing it and actually engaging with it and actually really liking it, even though they're not literally engaging on it or commenting or sharing it, it makes a difference. But you won't notice the effects straight away. Or you might have something that blows up, but usually it's a compounding thing. So yeah, personal branding, but it's a slow grind.
Love that. Awesome. That's some really good key takeaways. Now, before we leave, we've got a game. We've got a trivia game. And typically it's called Are You Smarter Than Ed? Instead, it's Are you smarter than each other?
Oh, God.
So it's going to be you two versing each other. So it's going to be Jett versus Nathan. I'm going to fire off some trivia questions. It's going to be best out of 10. Winner takes all, while the loser faces a mystery challenge.
Oh, I can't wait.
LinkedIn was launched in what year? A, 1999. B, 2003. C, 2008. D, 2012.
Jett.
Oh,
2003.
Correct.
Okay.
Can you just make sure you keep in score, because my memory's not that great. The term war for talent was popularized by A, Harvard Business Review, B, McKinsey, C, LinkedIn, D, Sherm.
Jett.
What was that last one?
I'm going to go A.
I don't even know.
Oh, Jett, that's incorrect.
I'll just go B.
B is correct.
Oh my. What was B?
Wasn't the last one.
Sure. What is employer reputation influenced by most? A, office furniture. B, candidate reviews. C, job titles. D, recruiter salaries.
Jett. B.
Jett, let's go. 2-1.
You didn't think it was office furniture?
Which body regulates general insurers in Australia? A, ASIC.
Jett. A.
Incorrect.
Nathan, Afka.
Incorrect. Should we circle back around? You both
Let's
got it
try
wrong?
again.
Okay.
Start again.
APRA.
APRA. You didn't buzz.
B, Jett.
B, you're cheating.
All right, that's
2-all.
2-all. Let's go, boys. CTP Insurance stands for...
Nathan.
I was
Compulsory third party.
Let's
Yes.
go.
You didn't know which one it was.
Which of the following is a major Australian insurer? A. NAB. B. QBE. C. Macquarie Group.
Nathan, QBU.
4-2. Jett man.
Not looking
Come on,
good.
mate.
Jett man, are you live over there? An actuary's main role is to A. Sell insurance. B. Approve claims. C. Conduct audits.
Jett C. Oh no.
What's D?
D. Model financial risk.
Nathan D.
Damn.
Too quick on the buzzer, mate.
Congratulations, Nathan. You are smarter than Jett. Officially. There's
You'd
gonna
hope
be a
so.
good thumbnail there.
Put that on the wall.
That was an awesome catch up, boys, talking about impact talent, where you've come from, where you are today. It's super inspiring and it's super interesting, especially learning insurance and your process with candidates. And I know at the start you said, I don't think we're doing anything special, but there was a fair few special moments in there that hopefully people are going to listen to and reflect on and be able to implement too, just as long as they stay out of insurance.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, there's
Maybe not doing it or-
plenty of people out there to work with.
So thanks for joining us on Confessions.